I wanted to go ahead and create another tutorial for those of you just starting out to show you how easy it is to go ahead and create some signs that can make you some money. This idea came from the web. It's obviously not patented. The person that created this, I've seen multiple versions of it, so it's something you can go ahead and create. Now, I wouldn't take their image, import it, and vectorize it. I wouldn't feel good about that, but creating my own version of it, no big deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a we don't dial 911 sign. I had this is one of my more popular items that was selling in a booth that I had last year. They were selling for about 18 a piece, and actually women seem to buy the object the most, the sign. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is open a file. And not open a file. I'm going to import. It's a DXF file, and I actually purchased this from DXF Graphics, so I didn't have to go and recreate this myself. However, let me take the fill off of this. Actually, I'm going to show you the fill. With everything highlighted, if I come down here and left and right click on something, I can change the color. And I like everything to be black, so I will go ahead and always do that with my black. Now, there's a lot of details in here that I really don't care about. I'll show you these here by toggling my fill with the Alt S for show fill, or not show fill. I'm going to highlight everything, Control B to break it, and delete all of these details except for the trigger. I do want the trigger, so I'm going to do my XOR weld, which is right here. But I have it set to hotkey for Control 1, so I'll be using that in the future. Now, if I Alt S and show the fill again, this is what I've got at this point. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and rotate this 30 degrees. If I highlight it first, 30 degrees, enter. Move this to the right, and then I'm going to duplicate it with Control D and just flip it horizontally, horizontal mirror. And go ahead and line these two guns up. Shift, left click both guns, Alt K, bring up my alignment tool, which the alignment tool is layout. I always forget where this is at. I wanted to show you at least once, but it's somewhere. Arrange and distribute, alignment, there it is. And I'm going to line these up horizontally so they're just even. And highlight everything and do a basic weld, in my case Control 2. Just for the sake of getting rid of this point, I'm going to go ahead and double click on this and move this node down. So at this point, this is what I have. Now what we need to do is go ahead and pick a font. Let's go ahead and type out "We Don't Dial 911. I like it in caps. We don't dial 911. Now, the font that I happen to pick is the one that I probably am going to use. So I do want to show you a trick, though. If you highlight everything, I just discovered this today, but if you come in here and you're looking at your fonts, look at the right. It's very hard to read those fonts. It's very hard to see them. If I take this window and expand it, and I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, and then you go to these fonts, you can see them so much clearer. The font that I have chosen is called Georgia Bold, and I don't care about the size right now so much. I'm just going to go ahead and break this apart. Control B, or you can go up to Arrange, Break Path. And if I show my fill, you'll notice that everything with a closed circle or closed inside path has been broken. We need to fix those. So we're going to do XOR welds on them. So highlight it, XOR weld. In my case, just Control 1. So I'll just do that with each of these individually. Come on. Okay, and too many objects there. That's fine. Let's move this a little to the left. Now I'm just going to group these, which is arrange. If you highlight something and you go to Arrange, there it is, Layout, Group, Control G. So let's Control G that. Okay, Control G, Control G, Control G, Control G. Now we just group those because I'm going to be moving these around. We're going to go ahead and resize this. Let's make it a little bigger. And I do want it to touch the guns because when we go and cut this out, it's got to hang on to something. So let's bring over the don't. By the way, you see me scrolling in and out like this. That's done with my mouse wheel, for those of you that haven't figured that one out yet. You just, wherever your cursor's at, that's your focus point, and that's where it tries to zoom in and out of. You can also highlight whatever you want, hit F7, that zooms in, F6 to zoom out. I've mentioned that in previous videos, but figured it doesn't hurt to be reminded. So now I'm just going to resize this don't. Let's bring it up, make sure it touches the Wii so it's a little more stable. That looks pretty good. I'm a little worried about the T there. So let's maybe bring the size up of this a little bit more. Bring it over. That's too big. What's funny is I've done this 2 or 3 times already. The last video would have been perfect except my audio was shot to pieces, so I had to go ahead and record it again. But you get different results every time you do this, and yours isn't going to be exactly the same, but that's no problem. Okay, so I kind of like that. Let's shrink that down. There we go. Now the D is touching over here. The T, it's not quite. Let's bring it over just a little bit. Bring it down. That's pretty good. I like how the T and the E are touching. That is so thin, honestly, it'll be obliterated, but I'll show you how we're going to fix that. So let's bring over the dial, resize it. And these can be different sizes. You don't have to make them all the same. It's not bad. Let's size it up and see what happens. A little more. I think that's alright. I already have the sign created the way I like it, and so I'm not too worried about it here, and yours, like I said, will probably vary from this. Let's go ahead and bring this in. I'm going to make the 9 touch the D. Maybe not. It doesn't have to be all perfectly lined up either. Doesn't have to all be centered. Staggering it a little bit actually gives a little bit of character. Let's do that. Bump that one over. Bump that over. I kind of like that a little more. Let's center that a little bit more. Something like that. So now what we're going to do is take all of these and do a basic weld on them. Now I'm going to strengthen this, however, and this is how I'm going to strengthen it. If you look right here between the I and the A, there is a little bit of a gap, and that's just the way the font is. There's a couple of ways to join these. Alt-S to toggle the fill so I can show you what I'm doing. I used to do this, and I discovered a quicker way to do things and easier, but I'll show you how I used to do this. I used to take these 2 points, right-click, break them. Take these 2 points, right click, break them. Then you have to go in here and delete these new points that are created because it tries to retain those lines. Then highlight these 2 points, right click, join. Let's get rid of this point. Let's right click on these, join. And something is wrong. But I mean, this is the kind of stuff that goes wrong. Anyway. You can see the problems that this can cause. It's quite a bit of work to do that little thing. So if I undo that with Control Z, I'm going to show you what I do now. I just take this little box to join these, highlight everything, Control A, Control 2 is my basic weld. It combined those. Now all you have to do is come in here and delete these points in the middle, and those are joined. Let's do that again. Over here, let's see, dial, that's fine. It's up here on the top of the Wii. Sorry, I have a cold. Combine these. Everything That's just a basic weld on a little box combining these. Delete the inside points, and now those are one piece, and they're going to be stronger. Now I do want to come and tweak this E and the T like I said. What I'm going to do is I could manually move these like this. It kind of tweaks the text. Not exactly what I'm shooting for, so let's go ahead and try this. Double click, actually we don't need to do that. To highlight it, transform, fill it round corner. I'm going to click on this miter box and click on the corner. Let's do this again. Transform, fill it round corner, and actually let's make this 0.125, and I'm going to click on a corner, and it's not behaving. It's messing with the corner over here for some reason. It's not what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for this corner. I have had problems like this before. Mechanics always explain them. While I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that little piece of the L that's in the trigger there. I thought it looked a little funny. Anyway, we'll just move this manually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on a point here. Let's move this one up. Basically it's mitering this corner. Double click and add a point here. That's just a double left click to do that. And that's what I was attempting to do with the fill it round corner, but there's so many corners in here, I think that's what's giving it a hard time. So now that T's a little strong, the E and the T is a little stronger there. I'd like to probably do that over here too. Just double click, move this point down, straighten that line again. Let's double click here, let's bump that one up. Now the N and the W are a little bit more connected. I like what's going on there. I would like the N and the A connected here. I don't know the best way to do this. Maybe it's to widen the A like this. That would probably work the best. Control A. Let's take these two pieces and put a box on there. Select everything and weld these. Now we've got some weird stuff going on here, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and highlight these and delete those. Let's get rid of these extra points here. Now we've combined the A and the T. Everything's stronger there. I think the only thing I'd like to do now, there's a little teeny point there. What I'd like to do now is just create a little hole right here, a mounting hole. I think 0.125 divided by 2, that'll give me a 1/8 inch hole, because we're dealing with a radius here, not the diameter. I had to divide it by 2, but it is 0.125, which is 1/8. I'm going to shift and click this, Alt K for my alignment, vertically align those, and I think that's probably about where I want that. So highlight everything, do an XOR weld. Oops. Let's do an XOR weld here. Control 1. Notice I broke the path earlier without telling you guys. But that's okay. What I need to do is just highlight everything, arrange, make path. Now this is one single object, and if we show the fill, you actually have a little sign. Now, to kind of get a perspective on how large this sign is, this is 16 inches wide. That's the width of 2 pieces of paper. If I go to print, file, print, and make sure this preview box is checked, you will see on a piece of paper this is how it would print out. That's quite a large sign. It doesn't need to be that large. And in fact, I think if you were to make this sign about 9.5 inches, maybe 10 inches, I'll do it 10 inches wide. And if you go into print that's Control P. You can see if we were to rotate it 90 degrees, it would actually still be about the size of a sheet of paper, which is actually about the right size, I think. So let's move this to the bottom left corner, and we're going to go Layout, Array, and we're going to see how many of these we can fit on the sheet. I'm doing the grid. Not worrying about these settings over here, none of these settings. I just want to move in the Y direction. Let's go ahead and add 4 of these. This doesn't quite fit. That's okay. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to close this. I would like to move these down a little bit, but I don't want to get them too close. I think we're actually pretty good. I'm so close to fitting this on my 2x4 though in this direction. What can I do? You know, you can resize it like this, and that works just fine. And now everything fits, and they're still, instead of 10 inches wide, they're 9.8 inches wide. You know, who's going to really notice? What I'm going to do is show you the measuring tool. Come over here and click on this measuring tool. It looks kind of like a compass. Come down here and select my lowest point, which is 0. We'll just do it right here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches in. And about at 5 inches in up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to select my highest point, which is about right here. That says up here it's about 24.5 inches almost. I like to get, sometimes when I cut my sheets up for my 2x4, I'm not exactly 2 feet, so I like to make mine about 23.5 inches. If I apply that, it actually, the measuring tool will adjust everything and shrink that. So if I go and print this again, just to kind of give you a perspective, you'll see that these would basically, if turned on the right side, it would be about 4 sheets of paper. Okay. Now what we're going to do is try to fit as many on this sheet as we can. So let's go ahead and hit Layout, Array, and let's go ahead and go 1 in the X direction. Now, that looks pretty good. Everything's kind of lined up, but if I were to actually flip this 180 degrees, then I can come in here and get this a little bit closer. I'm holding down Shift and my arrow keys and bumping them a little closer. Let's zoom in on this handle. That's the point of contact. Let's give ourselves a little bit of a gap, maybe an 1/8 inch, 3/16. And I actually moved it up a little bit. And that looks pretty good to me. Now we're going to highlight all of these again. Layout, Array. Since we have them all highlighted, when we go ahead and expand this in the X direction, it's going to do the exact same thing that we have already configured. So I did that twice. Of course, the last set here isn't going to fit on my table, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. But if I come in here and look at this, I feel pretty good about that. How many signs do I have? 4 by 5 rows, so I've got 20 signs here. If I have 20 signs times $18 a piece is about what I was selling them for. You get $360. Subtract my consumables. We'll say I go through 1 electrode and 2 nozzles. I can get through 1 nozzle on these because I've done it if it doesn't plow into the surface and get messed up. So let's just go ahead and say I'm going to use 1 set of each, or a nozzle and an electrode. So mine is $15. I will probably use 1 or 2 flap discs because there is a lot of text. I'll probably use 2 flap discs. That's about $15. I'm going to use about $11 in paint, and it's about $20 in material. So I've got about $300 of profit there, other than the time that I have to put into this. Let's say I use an extra nozzle because I screwed up. Minus $6, $293, and then oh sorry, paint, maybe $11 in paint because I do paint mine. But still, $282 for a little 2 foot by 4 foot sheet. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, in the 18 minutes you've been watching me, I've created this sign. I've fitted on the, got absolute great use out of this sheet, and there's going to be very little waste out of that. I do want to show you maybe another sign or two that just for ideas. You're welcome to use them. These are ones I've came up with. No soliciting. Okay, so like no soliciting rifle. This has actually been quite popular. I actually will put a little 1/4 inch rod off of this so people can stake it in their yard. I've painted these and patinaed them. The patina would be copper colored, the whole thing. And then the top, the no soliciting, would be like a burned look, burned metal look, kind of blues and purples. It's actually pretty cool looking. Then you clear coat that. The very first one of these I sold was one of these. It was painted white and it had like this nice red bright paint splattered across it. It looked like a big blood splat. It was funny, the guy that bought it was the most innocent looking guy and not the kind of person I thought would buy it, but he was all aglow and wanted to have it, and I think he paid like $27 to $30 for it. So that was one of the first sales, and it was actually a fun sell. I have created no soliciting signs and put a butterfly on it to try to appeal to women. My mom told me that takes all the bite out of it, but it kind of softens it. Welcome signs, go ahead and use welcome signs. Throw on flowers. Just trying to give you guys that are starting out ideas as to what you can do. And I mean, these really don't take long to do. I mean, you could come in here and I'm going to type welcome. Zoom in on that. And like I said, you can come up here and zoom in. Click on the font. You can scroll down with your will now. And you go and find a font that's, not too thin. This is plasma. You don't want to get it too thin. You're not going to get as much detail as you can with laser. So let's pick a fatter font. Something maybe with a little italic or cursive in it. I used to have a great one, but I can't remember what it's called. I mean, I have hundreds of fonts installed, so me trying to find it is going to be kind of ridiculous. You probably spend more time trying to find a font than putting the rest of the sign together sometimes. Oh, there's a good one. Look at that, Pharrell. That's the one I like. So let's just bring this up. You bring the sign up. You want to make it a positive lettering, meaning you're not cutting it out of something else. So I'll take this and make a little rectangle on the bottom. This is our binding piece. Transform, round corner. Don't worry about that. I'm going to bump up the corners. Actually, I'm not. Let's close that. It is 0.233 high. So we're going to highlight this. Now we're going to go transform, round corner, 0.233. I'm going to make it 0.232 divided by 2. And that will round my corners perfectly. So now this is rounded. Take all of this. In fact, I think I want it a little thicker. Take all of this, weld it together with a basic weld. Right down the back of this L, you throw a 1/4 inch stake. Maybe throw a butterfly or something on here. I mean, you can find those on the web. But throw a 1/4 right down the back side of this L. Weld a 1/4 inch stake that goes down in the ground. $20, just like that. Look at this sign. It's about a foot wide, and that's I made some a lot larger than that, but a foot wide. Duplicate that with a Control D, rotate it 180 degrees because it looks like we're going to be able to get better use of our material this way. Highlight, let's move that a little bit to the right. Okay, highlight both of these, layout, array, and we need to space these a little more, so we're going to come over here and tweak the spacing in between these with these arrows over here. Now let's go ahead and add another set. Look at that. Okay, now let's go ahead and add some in the other direction. I'm going to add one more. Okay, now these don't quite all fit on here, so what can we do? If you want to make them all fit, not that you have to. I don't know if I would do this with these because they're already small enough, but if you come up here, take your measuring tool, click on this point and click on your far end point about right here. Tell them you want it 47.5. And see how big these are. This is still, it's still 11 inches wide. Perfect. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 by 8, 32. 32 times 20. Not that you'll be able to always sell them that much everywhere. 32 times 20, $640. Let's go with, let's say you sell them for $10 a piece. It's $320. You're going to probably go through some consumables, so you probably make around $250 on that. It's really not that bad. I think you'll sell more, obviously, if you lower your prices a bit. I was trying to get an idea of what these would cost me last year, and I was able to sell some, not as many as I would have liked. But this is probably about the right size, about a foot wide. I made mine about 18 inches wide, and they're really big signs. But I mean, you've watched me for about 4 or 5 minutes, and we just created a brand new welcome sign. Again, I would probably throw a bird or a butterfly or something on it. It appeals to the women a little more. And then getting them painted, you can paint them all one color. Find a graffiti artist, give him about 50 of these signs to do, and pay him $3 a sign or something like that, and he can whip through them pretty fast, you can go pick up a airbrush and paint them, but then you're going to have a lot more time into them and things like that. And shoot, graffiti artist going to school, kid going to school, he can make $100 in an afternoon, which is great for him. $100 spread over what did I say we had here? 1, 2, 7, 8, 32 pieces. So, let me do this calc. 32 times 3. You pay him $100, and like I said, you sell even if you sold them for $15 a piece, 15 times 32. I mean, you're still going to make hundreds of dollars if you can sell all of these. So anyway, I really hope that this helps some of you get started. Some of you that are thinking about, well, will this machine pay for itself? Can I get it to pay for itself? Well, you can go ahead and create signs like this. I mean, at a 16 gauge cold rolled still, this 2 foot by 4 foot section will cost me about $20. I can pick up a full 4x8 sheet for $80. You're going to probably use $15 to $20 in consumables. Maybe, depending if you have somebody paint it or you paint them yourself, maybe $10 there. You're probably going to have to spend a few bucks on some 1/4-inch rod to stake these in the ground, and things like that. But I mean, by the time you add up all the costs, you're still making hundreds of dollars per sheet. And if you were to make all of these in one day, you're making at least $200, and you're just only doing this, $250 a day for 5 days a week, I think ends up coming out to $40,000 to $60,000 a year, somewhere in there, which is not great for a side job, So anyway, I really hope this helps. I'll try to come up with some more tutorials in the future, maybe some things that are a little more complicated, but I just wanted to show how simple it is to use this. Anyway, thanks for watching.